I never thought I'd end up sharing something like this on Reddit, but here I am. I'm a 28-year-old woman who recently discovered that my parents took the $120,000 set aside for my MBA to help my sister, Ashley, 35, and her fiancé, Nathan, 37, buy their dream home. The betrayal still feels surreal, and I'm grappling with the depth of their actions. Let me take you through the first part of this ordeal. My dad's parents, my grandparents, were wealthy and deeply valued education. They were old school in the best way, believing in diligence, saving, and planning for the future. Living in another state, I didn't see them often, but their calls and visits always showed their care for my path. My grandmother often said, "Education is the one asset no one can strip from you," and now I see the irony in that. My grandfather passed 3 years ago after a short illness, a painful loss, but my grandmother remained our family's rock, remembering every milestone with thoughtful cards and packages. She passed away last year, and on that day I sat in my apartment, rereading her letters, each one filled with wisdom and usually a small check for your studies. At the time, I didn't know they'd been building something bigger for my future. When their will was read, the division seemed fair. My parents inherited their savings and house. Ashley got family heirlooms and my grandmother's jewelry, worth a fortune. I was left a substantial education fund, specifically for my MBA, with clear instructions that it was for my schooling alone. My parents were tasked with managing it until I needed it, as I was already working. I was grateful my grandparents had planned so carefully for me. The thought that my parents would touch that money never crossed my mind. Looking back, I should have seen the signs. Ashley was always the family's darling, even in my earliest memories. It's hard to say without sounding bitter, but she was their favorite. She excelled at everything, talented, driven, special. I still remember my high school graduation. I'd won a major science award, earned a full college scholarship, and was valedictorian. During my speech, I saw my parents on their phones, barely listening. That same night when Ashley, who dropped out of college twice, announced she might become a teacher, they were overjoyed, saying, "You're so wonderful with kids." I got a quick, nice job for my achievements. This pattern continued. I worked hard, graduated with honors, and landed a job at a top firm. Over 6 years, I climbed to senior project manager, leading a team of 15 and handling multi-million-dollar accounts. To my parents, though, I was just the practical one, successful because I was naturally bright. Meanwhile, Ashley switched jobs before settling as a kindergarten director at a small private school, and Nathan became head zookeeper at our local zoo. They're decent people, and I have no personal issues with them, but their combined income is modest at best. For the past year, they'd been obsessed with buying a house, turning every family dinner into a rant about real estate prices and wasted rent money. They'd sigh over unaffordable homes, and my parents would nod, saying, "You deserve a beautiful place," or "It's so tough for young couples today." About a month ago, I started applying to MBA programs, a move I'd planned for years. I'd researched schools, built my career strategically, and maintained an impeccable work record. My goal is a top-tier program to position me for executive roles at my company, where every C-suite leader has a prestigious MBA. One evening, I asked my parents about the education fund, needing to know the exact amount for application fees, which can run thousands for elite programs. Their response was my first red flag. "Don't stress about it," my dad said, fidgeting. My mom quickly added, "Focus on your applications for now, we'll discuss it later." They shifted the topic to Ashley and Nathan's house hunt. I brushed it off at first, thinking they were just disorganized, but something felt off. A week later, I pressed them again, explaining I needed the funds for my budget. That's when they dropped the truth. "We used the MBA money," my mom said casually. "It's for Ashley and Nathan's house." I stared, thinking I'd misheard. When I asked her to repeat it, my dad said, "Ashley needed it now, and it's not fair for you to get a free pass when she struggled with loans." I lost it. I'm not proud of my outburst, but it was years of pent-up frustration. I demanded to know how they could betray me and break the will's explicit terms. My mom just shrugged as if I were overreacting, saying, "You'll manage. You can always take out loans like everyone else." They acted like they'd done nothing wrong, dismissing my future and my grandparents' wishes. When I mentioned legal action, knowing their actions were illegal, they laughed. "With what money?" my dad taunted. "You can't afford a lawyer," my mom added. "Don't be ridiculous. This is family business." The humiliation was indescribable. It hit me that I was always secondary to them, my achievements irrelevant. They didn't care about my career or financial independence. That night, I couldn't sleep, haunted by how my grandparents trusted my parents to do right. I never spoke about their favoritism growing up. It didn't seem worth it. It wasn't abuse, just neglect in favor of Ashley. The next morning, I met privately with my boss, Mr. Thompson, who's been a mentor since I joined the company. He supported my ambitions and has corporate law experience with connections to top firms. I also reached out to Uncle Jake, my dad's cousin, a successful businessman who always seemed to see through my parents' bias. Though not around much, he'd shown genuine interest in my goals and has more clout than my parents. Their mockery lit a fire in me. They thought I was powerless, the quiet one who'd never fight back. They were about to learn how wrong they were. First update 2 weeks since my last post, and things have moved fast. After meeting Mr. Thompson, he connected me with a friend at Harper & Associates, a top law firm. He said, "This isn't just about the money. It's about honoring your grandparents' intentions and holding your parents accountable." The lawyers confirmed my parents' actions violated the will and their fiduciary duty, and I was stunned to learn they could face criminal charges. Even more shocking, they'd started transferring the funds to Ashley's account months before admitting it to me. Uncle Jake's involvement changed everything. When I messaged him on LinkedIn, he called within hours, outraged. "I knew they favored Ashley, but stealing from you? That's unforgivable. I'll cover the legal costs." He wasn't just talk. He hired estate law experts and a forensic accountant who, within days, proved my parents systematically drained the fund. On Friday, their lawyer called, offering a family settlement to cover some MBA costs if I dropped the case. Uncle Jake shut it down. "Return every cent plus interest and penalties or face charges." No deals, my parents bombarded me with texts. "How could you drag outsiders into this? We'd have helped you eventually. You're tearing us apart." I forwarded everything to Jake's team without responding. Jake revealed phase 2. Beyond recovering the money, he's pushing for a full audit of my parents' finances, suspecting more irregularities. Yesterday, Ashley emailed, claiming she didn't know the money's source, saying, "Mom and Dad told us it was their savings." She urged me to be reasonable and settle. Jake's response? "Forward it to the lawyers. It shows she knew after the fact but kept it. She's complicit." This morning, their lawyer called Jake in a panic. The accountant found they'd misused their power of attorney to move money before my grandmother's death, escalating potential charges. My parents are scrambling. Mom left a tearful voicemail begging me to talk, while Dad emailed admitting a mistake but claiming they meant well. Jake's advice? Don't respond, let them sweat. They mocked you when you were vulnerable. Now they're the ones cornered. Mr. Thompson has been incredible, writing a glowing MBA recommendation and approving my leave for school. He said, "You're handling this with remarkable poise." Not many could. The legal team is preparing charges next week unless my parents repay everything, including penalties. Jake says they'll likely sell assets, but that's their burden. I'm staying with a friend, and my building's security is on alert to block my parents. Jake hired a PI to document their contact attempts, which could prove harassment. Second update 3 weeks later, things have intensified. The forensic audit uncovered more than expected. At our first court filing, Jake's team revealed my parents misused their power of attorney over my grandmother's funds in her final months, moving money to Ashley before her passing. Their lawyer was blindsided, requesting a recess after seeing the transaction timeline. I later learned he's considering dropping their case for withholding details. My grandmother's former caregiver reached out after seeing our legal notice, confirming Grandma repeatedly told my parents the fund was for my education alone, documented in her care diary. Ashley's role has shifted. Realizing her legal exposure for accepting stolen funds, she hired her own lawyer, creating a rift with our parents, who expected her loyalty. Her lawyer advised distance, and the house purchase is now under scrutiny since the down payment used stolen money. Their mortgage lender is reviewing the loan, and falsified documents could trigger a fraud probe. Jake's team also found my parents told relatives I'd agreed to give Ashley the fund, a lie they'd spread for months to cover their tracks. Several family members provided emails proving this. During depositions, my dad's arrogance crumbled as Jake's lawyer presented evidence of their scheme. My mom broke down, admitting they never planned to repay me. Their third lawyer, Too Quit, is pushing a weak defense, claiming they misunderstood the will despite documented talks with my grandmother. Our team demanded full repayment with interest, all legal fees, a written admission of guilt, and a no-contact agreement. My parents' social standing is collapsing. Dad's golf club is reviewing his membership. Mom was ousted as bridge club treasurer, and their community is shunning them. Ashley's school board is evaluating her role due to ethical concerns, and Nathan's zoo job is under review for signing questionable loan papers. Jake's team filed to freeze their assets, halting further fraud. Their lawyer begged for a settlement, but Jake's unyielding. He sent a scathing email to the family, copying everyone. "Loyalty? You lost that when you stole from your daughter and mocked her." My parents' desperation is clear, using relatives to reach me, but each attempt bolsters our harassment case. Third update 4 months later, the saga is over, and the outcome is more devastating for my parents than anticipated. At the final hearing, the judge tore into them, calling their actions a deliberate betrayal of me and my grandparents' wishes, noting their mockery of my legal threat showed moral bankruptcy. The audit proved they planned the theft over a year before Grandma's death, forging documents and lying about my consent. The penalties were severe. They repaid the MBA fund, plus interest and punitive damages nearly doubling the amount, justified by their malice and court deception. To pay, they sold the house inherited from my grandparents, moving to a small rental on the city's edge. Their social status is ruined, no country club, no board seats, no friends. Their church ousted them from leadership roles. Dad was forced into early retirement, shunned by colleagues. Mom lost her volunteer positions. Ashley and Nathan's house deal collapsed when the lender learned the down payment was stolen, triggering a fraud probe. Ashley was fired as principal, unable to find teaching jobs, and Nathan's on leave from the zoo. Their engagement ended, with Nathan blaming Ashley's family ties and her accusing him of abandoning her. Jake organized a family meeting, not for reconciliation, but to expose their lies with a detailed timeline. Even Mom's sister, a former ally, disowned them, saying, "I don't know you anymore." I've come out stronger. My MBA fund is restored, and I'm starting a top program on a merit scholarship. Mr. Thompson praised my handling of this, securing my leave and promising an executive role post-MBA. Jake's mentoring me, introducing me to his network for future ventures. I'm in a secure apartment with my parents blocked and their contact attempts sent to our lawyers. The final twist: their new rental overlooks the zoo where Nathan worked, a daily reminder of their downfall. Jake calls it karma's sense of humor. An anonymous note from their circle says Mom rarely leaves home, and Dad sits alone at a coffee shop, their social life non-existent. As I prepare for my MBA, I think of Grandma's words. Education is untouchable. With her foresight and Jake's ruthlessness, I've secured my future and taught my parents a lesson they'll never forget. Thanks for the support. Justice is served, and I'm at peace, though I never wanted it to come to this.